Interest rates. What are they going to do? Are they going up or down? Up or down? Should you buy? Should you rent? Subscribe. Give me a subscribe, please. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, right? But you want to be informed. And I got the tidbit. Well, what I do know is that the Federal Reserve met on July the 31st. I think that was last Wednesday. And indications show that interest rates will probably go down in September. Indications. Okay. What are my sources? I'm reading NerdWallet. I'm reading Wall Street Journal. I'm reading Scotchman's Guide. So I'm reading different articles and different information. Plus, I'm watching trends. And then I'm watching the market. And just wondering, lowering interest rates, will that make sense? Okay, let's dive in and let's figure this out. We just need to use some common sense, right? So common sense tell us that interest is what? Income. The bank get the money, give it to us. Investors replenish the market, buy the loans from the bank so that we can now have more money. It's a full cycle. My cycle, the mortgage cycle, is on my channel. So look for mortgage cycle, and it shows you the whole cycle of how the mortgage world works. And that will help you to determine the likelihood of interest rates going down, right? But that has to happen in order to keep the market fluid, to keep money going in the market. Because think about it, guys. You remember what I'm telling you? This is just a common sense thought here. If every time we go to the bank to borrow $400,000-$500,000, they can't hold it. They can't keep it in house and keep a portfolio. They gotta sell that so that they can have more money to lend. Other than that, they will be depleting their cash that they have. And remember, guys, those loan servicers, they gotta get paid too. Don't you remember? I know people that have already have loans. And if you don't have a mortgage, consider if you have a student loan. Every time you turn around, there's a new servicer. Those servicers are collecting your payments. And it's not free. They're charging. Okay? So, interest rates is to do what? To control the market, right? Remember what we were doing before interest rates went up in 2022. There were bidding wars on properties. So they had to stop it. People were paying overpriced, paying for undervalued properties. They were paying $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 over the value of properties, going into properties underwater, and it was vast. It was a lot of that going on. So they had to raise the interest rate to slow everything down, just to put it in some type of perspective and even stuff out. Even stuff out. So if you're in the bidding war, It had to stop because you have access to, maybe, some people don't have, like, from their job, have that type of money of $20,000 cash, but they have it in their 401k. They have it in their retirement accounts. And retirement accounts, most qualified accounts, you are allowed to get some of that money to purchase a home or to bring you out of foreclosure or stuff like that. So people were spending their money and they had to stop it. Because let's consider what I have here. I have a $400,000 house, right? That's the appraised value. That's what the appraiser said the value is. The bidding war had people come and say, well, I'll give you 410, and then someone come back and I'll give you 420. And the homeowner was sitting back saying, bring it on, right? So now that person is underwater. They done took out their savings or their retirement or their 401k or their IRA, and they have paid for that extra $20,000, and they're underwater. It's just threw the money away, right? And considering that property value increases about 3% annually, even it'll take a couple of years to recoup that extra $20,000. So the Fed, they had to raise the interest rate to slow us down from that. That wasn't good behavior, guys. We shouldn't have been acting like that. So we made the interest rate. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Now let's consider this. Consider what if you were born in 1983? Just think about it. If you were born in 1983, your entire time on this earth, when you became aware of what an interest rate was, you're now part of the group that need to become a homeowner. Man, in 2008, you were 25, right? That's when the market crashed. In 2010, man, I was over at Freddie Mac then. When I tell you they were churning out modifications, everybody was getting a 3% mortgage. Everybody. It was like Oprah. You get a 3% mortgage. You get a 3% mortgage. I'm telling you, people were starting off with those interest-only loans and those ARM loans. And when those payments reset, those payments skyrocket. So people were going from paying $2,500 a month for their $600,000 house to now paying $6,000 a month for their $600,000 house. And they was just like, "Ooh, honey, let me clutch my pearls," because that wasn't getting paid. Everybody was being foreclosed on. So the foreclosure rate was so high, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac had to lay off everybody, including me. But if you were 27, all you saw were those 3% mortgages. And that's normal to you. Now, and the pandemic came, so you really can't even do anything about the interest rates. They're still, what now? They going from 3% to 3.5, 3.75. Your whole time being aware of the home buying process and what an interest rate is. You're out of college. They were in the 3%. Guess what? That's not normal. Even though that's all you know. 3%, not normal. Sorry. But I do understand why you would think they are. I would really understand. But at this time, everybody was underwater. Everybody was underwater. So they had to, once we came from under that, now, what is my prediction? No longer, first of all, they no longer want you guys that are now in your 30s, that are home buyers, that are actually home seekers now, depleting your savings, using your because you haven't been working that long, so your 401ks are not that much. You should not have to take 20 or 30,000 to pay for a home that's or pay more for a home than what it's worth. Okay, so that's why. So what now? We done went through all this. We done went through a pandemic. We done went through our housing bubble burst. We done went through all that. Now what? Rates are higher. Markets not flooding. It had to slow down everything. They're looking for what? A sweet spot. A spot where home sellers and home buyers can come together. Not home sellers just gouging you, and not home buyers undervaluing your property that you have saved up. You know, property is wealth. If you've been in your property for a couple of years, of 5-10 years, you've built up some pretty good equity. Considering the average home value increases 3% per year. You've been in here for 10 years. That's some pretty good equity. So this home buyer don't need to come in here and say, well, forget your equity. I want your house for a lower price. So there have to be a sweet spot. Now, where I say the sweet spot's going to be, probably 6.25 and 5.875. 5.875 with 800 credit scores, 700 credit scores, heading up to 6.25. 6.5. It's going to be a sweet spot. Because think about it, if you could get a nice mortgage for 5.875, it's a pretty nice interest rate. That's a pretty nice interest rate. So, what do you think? Give me a comment below and tell me, what do you think a sweet spot would be where we can meet, buyers and sellers can meet in the middle? What interest rate would be a sweet spot for you? Okay? I don't know. Let me know. Subscribe! It's free. Subscribe so I can keep bringing you information. Okay? Subscribe.